Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to the STEM Digital School. This is coding for grade 9. No, this is a mistake. I opened up the wrong PowerPoint. This is supposed to be, excuse me, grade 8. I'm teaching so many different classes and there are so many different things happening that I accidentally made a mistake. So just give me 1 second. I have to just quickly, oh goodness me. Okay. You will all now see my entire screen just to allow me to access what I need to access. I'm sorry for this. It will not happen again. Just jump to a better screen share functionality. Okay, there we go. Oh, it says grade 9, even though I opened the right one. Okay, so ignore this up here. I obviously made a typing mistake when I was creating this PowerPoint slide. So this is grade 8. Welcome. My name is Mr. Paul de Klerk, and there is my email address on the screen. So to avoid any confusion, I just want to reiterate again, this is grade 8 coding. So please, if you are not a grade 8 student, we have coding classes from grade R up to grade 9. Please go and join one of those lessons. You can find out about those lessons by visiting the Africa Teen Geeks website, okay? The reason why I say that is the grade 4s and grade 7s, as an example, they've had coding for a longer time. So they are further advanced in the puzzles that we're doing and in the lessons. And then the grade 8s and 9s and 6s and 5s, most of those classes are new, which we started this week. But because I am teaching grade 8 and grade 9, I am obviously going to teach at a faster pace, and I'm going to be explaining things at a much deeper level than I would if I was teaching grade 4 lesson. So it's very important. We as teachers, we adjust according to the age group that we're teaching, even though we might be teaching the same content. So it is really important for us and for yourself to be sure that you are joining the correct grades classes, okay? So before we get going, if you are new here, very welcome. We're glad to have you here. Please invite your friends to come and join us. If you are watching us live, just going to move off this so that I don't confuse people. If you are viewing us live, you can go to the Africa Teen Geeks website and you can get your parents to subscribe to the newsletter. They can then receive the links to these lessons, and then you can come and join us and we can use the chat box to ask questions, okay? So that being said, I need to mention 2 ground rules that are really important and that I really want you to stick to. The first one is the chat box is there for us to ask questions and for me to share information with you. So I'll allow 1 more minute for everyone to say hi to each other because you just came in. But as soon as I type in the chat box, okay, keep the chat clear from now on, then I want you to use that chat box only to ask questions. And for me to have the ability to see them, I need the chat box to be organized, okay? And then also for me to have the ability to share links with you. I'm not going to share the link now. I only share it once we are on the coding screen. But for me to have the ability to share that with you, I also need the chat box organized, okay? Especially in these lessons that we are moving into now. The first lesson was very much based on getting to know the platform. The new lessons are very much based on learning the code, okay? So for that, I'm going to ask a lot of questions to make sure that you guys understand and to make sure that I'm not going too fast, right? The second ground rule is your video cameras, please keep them off, or your video feeds. I know that sometimes an accident does happen. If you accidentally switch on the camera, we will switch it off for you. But if you do switch it on 5 times, then it doesn't look like an accident anymore. Okay, especially if I just switched it off and it comes back on again. Or if it comes on and I see something that I shouldn't be seeing, somebody pulling faces or whatever the case might be, then I am going to remove that person from this classroom situation. And the last thing with regards to the chat box, I forgot to mention this, nobody is allowed to post any links in there except for me, okay? So if I posted a link and somebody didn't catch the link, you can just ask me and then I will post it again. But please, no students post links. We never know where those links lead to. And we want to be sure that everyone has a safe learning environment here. So if I see a single link posted from anyone else, I will disable the chat box and I will remove the person that posted the link. Okay, even if it was a relevant link, please. If you want to share information with me from links, you need to send it to my email address, and you will see that again at the end of the lesson. Right, so for those of you that don't know, we're learning how to code in these classes. So computer code is the language that computers speak, and it is the way that we can tell computers what we want it to do. Okay, so we have code to run the hardware such as your mouse, hardware such as your hard drive, your processing units, your keyboard, your screen. All of that needs command code that will tell it what it should do and how it should function. The other art of coding is to create programs. Programs come in the form of Windows and Word and PowerPoint and those types of things. But the more fun ones are apps and games. Okay, so the coding that we are learning, it doesn't necessarily set us up to create a game as vast as Minecraft, as an example. That is a massive game and they have teams of coders working on that game. But it does set you up to have the ability to one day learn how to do that, especially these coding principles. So the platform we're working on has been based off of a code language with the name of JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is something that I use when I create web content, and it's also something that game coders use. It has many different functionalities, but the principles that I'm teaching you, if you can get these principles into your head and you can make them a habit for every time you code, this is the mindset that you have while you're coding, then it will enable you to learn other languages much faster and much quicker. And when I learned coding, I learned using line and text-based code, and I'll show you that in a minute. There wasn't any of these block coding applications available that we have now. So I wish I had this, even as an adult. I wish I had this to start learning on. It would have made my learning curve much faster. Right, so there's my message. And you guys are doing really great with this. So I just want to do as I said I would. Let's keep the chat clear from now on. There we go. Right, so there's a message asking you to keep the chat clear from now on and only post questions. So the first principle is we want to identify the goal. Now this helps a lot for these puzzles. It's very easy to see the character, see where he has to go, and just start thinking about, okay, move like this, move like that, move this many times. But sometimes there are certain functions or actions that they have to do when they are in a certain position. So we need to pay attention to that. And also this becomes really important when you start doing projects for school subjects that you might, if you have coding as a subject. And I know of a great coding thing that is coming towards South Africa, which is going to be awesome. So if you have that, then you really want to identify the goal. And if you take this into the workplace, you want to know exactly what your client wants or what your employer wants in order for you to deliver on that, okay? But often these goals will require 5 or 6 pages of code, or as we have here, we're going to use perhaps 15 or 20 blocks of code. So instead of trying to do all of that at once, we want to identify the goal so that we know what we're working towards, but we want to divide that goal into smaller problems. And then we can start following the problem-solving workflow. And that is, we identify the smaller problems, we create a solution for that smaller problem, we test our solution, and then we adjust the solution if we need to do that. Okay? And when you are going to start writing big pieces of code, you want to apply information management practices. So there's a function in coding that's known as comments. And what that basically says is it allows you to put words in there and to label certain sequences of code without that being run by the computer. Okay, so if there are 2 symbols that you put in front of it, and I'll show you once we have those blocks available, 2 symbols in the line and text-based coding that you put in front of it, and all computers around the world, they know not to read that, but just to pass over it and run the code that is underneath it. Okay, so that those comments and that information management practice is purely there for you to, if you create a project today and you want to work on it again over a year, you don't have to go and read through 5 pages of code to try and understand what did you do here. You can just use the comments, and in that way you can quickly access anything that you need to access. This using comments, if you go and Google about coding and good coding practices, this one will come up the most. Okay, it's one of the major things that everyone tells you when you start learning to code, and they do it for a reason. As coders, we tend to work on other people's projects as well. So if all coders around the world follow that principle of using comments, then it is just going to make the entire industry a lot easier to work in and to function. Okay, so we are at lesson 2, programming with Angry Birds. Puzzle 6 to 11 is what we'll aim for today. I just want to check because I'm not sure exactly where we got to yesterday. Okay, we got to puzzle 5. I'm going to revisit puzzle 5. I like to review puzzles. And now I'm ready to share a link to you. So if you have a look in the chat box, the link is there. And I want to start this over. So you can click on the link. It'll open in your Google browser if you are using PC and you have Google Chrome installed. If you don't, it will open in Internet Explorer. And they've just upgraded that, I think, yesterday to make it Microsoft Edge. And it is quite a bit improved from what it used to be. So if you're using that, that's also okay. And then if you are using an Apple device, then you would probably using the Safari browser. What the browser's name is doesn't matter. They all function the same way. So you click on this link, it should open in your browser. And on the right-hand top side, you have a little line, which is minimize, and an X. If you hover on it, it turns red, it says close. And right in the center, there is a block that says restore down. Okay. And then you can make it smaller, and then you can view me and code at the same time. So I have somebody asking, how do we minimize on a tablet? So this is going to be different from each device. If you are using an Android device, so it's a Samsung tablet or a Huawei tablet or something like that, then they usually have a split screen function. But where to access that split screen function is going to differ from model to model. As their software updates, they change that around. If you are using an iPad, it also has that function, but it's also going to be located on a different place. So what I can do is, if you send me an email with the make and model of the tablet that you are using, I will go and research on Google how to do the split screen, and then I will let you know. But for me to just answer you like this, it's not going to be the same for all tablets. So it's extremely difficult to help you with that. The other option that you have is to go and open a browser tab after our lesson and play with the tablet and try to find where that setting is. Okay. So if you are on a mobile device like a cell phone, then perhaps you would only want to watch, and then you can save the link. And once you have access to a computer, then you can do the coding, or you can do the coding on your mobile device after the lesson is finished. But for practical reasons, most cell phone screens are just too small for you to view me and view the coding screen at the same time. Okay. So here we have the lesson that we are on. And if you keep this link saved somewhere, so you can copy it from your address bar here and save it on a text document, not in the chat box, on a text document on your computer, then you can access it later. Okay. And every time you navigate to this link, you're going to see this screen and you will have access to all the lessons. So if you click on this, it'll take you back to all the lessons. And here you can jump between the puzzles, and there are lesson extras that you can do. Now, we don't do these in the classroom. So if you want to do them, you have to go and do them on your own time, but they're a really good practice, and I will advise you to go and play with them. Okay. Here we have our instructions. On the left, we have our play area. We can make that bigger or smaller depending on your personal preference. And this is where everything happens that we code. We're going to see what we code being acted out here. Next to that, we have our toolbox. And this is where we have our different blocks that we can use. Okay. And then on this side, we have our workspace. And here we can see the workspace is limited to 6 blocks. One is already used because we have this when run block there. Now this when run block is connected to the run button. That's why they are the same color. And what this does is when we click on this button, it tells this block to activate the code that is underneath it, okay? Or that comes after it. So without this button and without this block, we can write code here that can be 400 blocks long, and it's not going to make any difference in the world. Okay. So let us quickly get going with this. I'm going to do this one, and you guys will do the next one, okay? So our goal is we need to trace the path and lead me to the silly pig. So our goal is we need to lead the bird. Oh, excuse me, it's still early morning. Lead me to the pig. We need to lead the angry bird to the pig, and we need to avoid the TNT. That's one of the restrictions. We cannot move where there is TNT. The other restriction we only have 6 blocks. And the last restriction we have is there are only a limited number of these blocks available for us to use. So if I'm watching at the bird, the first small problem is we want to move him from there to there. We do that by using one move forward block because he's going to move only once, right? So there you can see that. Now, once he's there, he has to turn to face this way. It's something that's important. So he's going to turn right because he's facing this way and he has to come down. Something that is important and that you need to take note of now, because this is going to be used in all the puzzles to come. Turn right only makes him change the direction that he's facing. It does not make him move another space. Okay. Turn left is the same thing. It'll only make him turn on the spot where he is, but he will be facing a different direction. So he is not going to move if we have a turn block there. He's only going to turn in place. So we have to put another move if we want him to move. And this is what we want. We want him to come here, turn, face here, then move here. Now he has to turn to face the pig. And then he has to move forward to end up on the pig. So while this is running, you can quickly copy the code onto your oh no, this is supposed to be turn left. You see there what happens. I thought I took the turn left block, but I didn't. Right. So just to explain again, we're moving forward once, we're turning right, facing this way, but not moving. Then we move this way, and now we're at this block. Then we're turning left, not moving yet, because the turn left doesn't make him move, only makes him turn, and then we have another move forward to end up on the pig. So in the chat box, type yes if I can move on to puzzle number 6. Okay, I have 1 yes. Okay, I think we are then good to go. So now we have the same thing. Get me to the silly pig, or get me to the pig, and avoid the TNT. We have 6 blocks again. And I don't know what to do, so you have to tell me. So the way you do this is you just tell me the first block that I have to put there and try to use the words that are on the block, okay? So all you need to do is type in the chat box, do you want turn right, do you want turn left, or do you want one move forward? Okay, so I have one person who said move forward. Great. So now we see we are here. We want to go there. So this is going to be a second move forward. Now in the future, watch the chat box. I want to show you something. If you want me to use 2 move forwards, you do it that way. Yes, or the way that Lesedi typed it now, okay? Move forward 2 or 2 times move forward or whatever, all right? So once we are here now, we want to face the pig. So we need to turn. Which way are we turning? Turning left, yes. because we are orientated the same as the bird, that means that this is going to be left. Now we have to move from here to the pig again. So what do we use? The city already told us, move forward twice. Are we going to do this or not? If you want me to test the code, then you need to type run in the chat box. R-U-N, run. I don't want the responsibility of the bird dying if the code is wrong. So I'm giving it to you guys. Okay, great. So we've done that. Are you all happy with it? Can we continue on to the next puzzle? Just type a yes. If you want me to speak on this again, then type no. Okay. I have 3 yeses. Usually that's my cue to move on. Okay, now before we even start writing code, do not type anything in the chat box yet. I want you to pay attention to my screen. Okay, now we have this new block here. This is a repeat block. And what a repeat block does is it tells code to do something a couple of times over. So you can set this here, right? So if I have this, then this is saying repeat 4 times the move forward block. So this, where we're using 2 blocks now, remember the 1 block is that when run block, so we're using 2 blocks, is the same as doing this. What will happen on the play area is the same, but there is a difference with regards to how many blocks we're using. Now we're using 4 blocks. Okay. Now repeats, really, they start to come in handy the more times you want to do the code over and over. So Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, he explained that if he would like to send a happy birthday email to every person on Facebook, he could either type code like this saying, send a happy birthday email to this person, and then send a happy birthday email to that person, and again, and he would end up having to do this 1 million times. Let's say there are 1 million people on Facebook. I don't know how many there are. But if he's using a repeat block, he can just say, send this, and he can choose how many times he wants to do that. Okay, I'm saying repeat block. He obviously wouldn't be using block coding. He's using line and text-based coding. So when we finish this puzzle, I'll show that to you. But just to give you an idea, it is whenever we are going to do one action multiple times. There is a small catch though. If you are going to move forward twice, so any action that you do 2 times, you're only going to use 2 blocks, right? So to use a repeat for doing something 2 times isn't needed because you're using the same amount of blocks. One isn't right and the other one isn't wrong, okay? It's a matter of personal preference. So whichever way you choose is fine. But if we are going to repeat something twice and we are repeating 2 actions, then it becomes better. So like this way, we're using 3 blocks to do that. But if we want to write that in the full sequence, this is what it looks like. So here we're using 4 blocks, but with the repeat, we're only using 3 blocks. Okay, so a couple of things to remember from the repeat block as a summary of what we've just spoken about. If I'm going to repeat the same action 2 times, I do not need to use a repeat block. You can, but you don't have to. If we are going to repeat the same action 3 times or more, it's better to use a repeat block. You're going to be saving on workspace, right? We can use multiple blocks inside a repeat block if we would like to do that. It doesn't have to be only 1 block in there, right? So now I'm going to do this puzzle, and then I'm going to have you fix it for me using a repeat. Okay, so we are here. We want to hit the angry bird. If you want to go up or down, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're using the right turn block. Okay, so I'm going to say turn left, and I'm going to move forward, which is going to put me there. Then I'm going to turn right. Now I'm facing this way, and then I'm going to move forward 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times. Now I'm here. Then I want to turn right again, and then I want to move forward again. So now we have used all 9 blocks. Okay, I'm going to run it to test to see if our code is right. And I'm going to reset because I want you to tell me in the chat box, how can I make this sequence of code better? How can I make it shorter so that we're using less blocks? Any ideas? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by turn left. Aha, there we go. Tanisha, repeat the code. Tyrese, repeat code by the 3 move forwards. Okay. Yes, here we can see the same action happening 1, 2, 3 times. So what we can do is place a repeat block, set it to 3 times, and put the 1 block in there, remove the other 2, and make sure this is attached. And now we've used 8 blocks instead of 9. Now here, it doesn't make a big difference because the code is relatively short, but this quickly becomes usable, where you'll see in some puzzles with my grade 7s, we were even able to save 4 or 5 blocks of space. Just go back there. Okay, so while you copy down this code, I'm going to take a sip of water, and when you're ready, type yes in the chat box so that I can move on to the next puzzle. If you want me to talk on this again, then you just type no. Okay, many yeses. So let's run this one more time. And now we can continue. Okay, this is a challenge puzzle. So these puzzles are lessons that are designed to stretch your brain. So just do the best that you can. Now, I don't think we just need to do the best we can. I think we have the ability to fix this completely. Time to get angry, challenge. This code has a lot of bugs. So bugs are mistakes or problems, right? In coding language, we say this code is buggy if the code is full of mistakes and problems, and the action of debugging code is going in and fixing the code, right? That is what the term debugging and bug means, or bugs, when we're speaking about code, right? So when I say debug the code, please don't bring a fly swatter and start hitting the computer screen to take the bugs away. It's not going to work like that. Be certain that you understand these bugs are mistakes in the code. It's not referring to actual bugs. You'll need to remove some blocks and add others. So in my opinion, if we start reading this and thinking about what's going to happen here, we should see where the bugs are. So now we have many different moves that needs to happen. So our goal is we want to get the bird there by fixing the code, not creating new code, but by fixing the existing code. So again, let's divide this into smaller problems because code runs sequentially. So we know whatever we have first will happen first, and then whatever's after that will happen next and next and next, and whatever's last will happen last. So let's check. Our first small problem is we want this bird to move from there to here. And for that, we need 2 move forwards, 1, 2. So we go to the code and we see there are 1, 2 move forward blocks. So up until that point, the code is fine. Once he's here, he needs to turn right to come down this way. There is our turn right block, so we are fine. That's still not a problem. Now we have to move forward once in order to be here. We're still facing this way, but we want to stand here. Now I see a problem already. There are 2 move forward blocks here. Yes, there are 2 move forwards, you're right. So if we keep these 2 here, we're going to end up on the TNT. So there are 2 ways that you can remove this. You can either take the code away that you want to keep and just throw this one into the dustbin, or you can unhook everything and unhook this back, sorry, and then take this one off. So how you do that, it's up to you. It's not going to make a difference. The important thing is get that second move forward out because it shouldn't be there. Right, now we're standing here. We're still facing the TNT, so we obviously need to face this way. That's going to be a turn left. Now pay attention to what I just said. Turn left. This bird is facing downward, so his left is that way. My left is on this way, but we are not turning towards my left. We're turning towards the bird's left, so it's this way, okay? So just make sure that you orientate your direction to the same way that the bird is facing. There's a turn left, so that's still good to go. Now we're here facing towards this workspace of ours, and we want to move there. So there's that move forward. Then we want to turn right because we want to start coming down and we're facing this way. So that we've got there. Now we see that we need 1, 2, 3 move forwards. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4 move forwards. There are 2 things that I can do here to make this code better. What do you think that is? So now we're only looking at the problem that's coming from there to there. Okay, so the first one says we remove one of them, but there's still something I can do to make this better. Repeat the code. Very well spotted. And now I'm going to teach you another term that comes with repeat blocks. So this is a repeat block, but what it creates is a loop. L-O-O-P, loop. So this block is a repeat block. That's the name of the block, and that's the function of the block. But what it actually creates inside it is what is known as a loop. Okay, in coding language, it means the same as repeat. Repeat and loop, same thing. I just want to give you the terminology so that when you hear someone else speak about that, you understand where you are. Okay, so now we've looped the move forward all the way down to here. So now we want to face this pig. We're going to turn right to do that, and then we're going to move forward. Can I run this code? Are you guys happy with it? Type the word run if you think we can run it and not die. Good. You guys are brave. I like it. Guys and girls, sorry. Please don't mistake the words I'm using as meaning anything specific. Right. Are we going to continue, or do you want to try again? Choose, try again. Yes, the SETI, these gray ones, we cannot remove them from the workspace. Check. If you keep it here, it shows no entry sign on the dustbin. So these are the ones that the program gave us. They have to stay there. Okay. Good question. Okay, so it seems like everyone is happy for us to continue. Great. Let's continue then. Keep calm and help me find the bad pig. I'm lost. You need to tell me what to do. The chat box is yours. What are the first blocks that I want to use? Move forward, yes. And then after that, then turn right, then, that's a turn left. After we've turned right, okay, do you want me to move 3 or do you want me to repeat move forward 3 times? So the way you type that is like this. Repeat, move forward x3. Okay, so then I know that you want me to put this into a repeat block or x4, whatever. If you're going to say move forward 4 or 3, I'm going to put these blocks like this. So I want to know if you want me to use a repeat. So I think we're going to use a repeat, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times, yes. Okay, once we've done that, what do we do? turn right, and then can I click run? Lesedi caught me. Good. Move forward first. Yes. And Tyrese and Langla. Right. Sorry if my pronunciation of your names are wrong. I try my best. Okay, there we go. You have done it without me even assisting anything. I just want to show for our viewers that might be watching, this sequence solves the first problem, moving from there to there and turning right. There's repeat, and the loop sequence inside it solves the second problem, moving from there to there. And this last sequence solves the last problem, moving from there to there. And once we put all three, the solutions for the three smaller problems together, we find that we have reached our goal. We have achieved our goal of getting onto the pig. Right, can I move on? Do you want me to replay? Right. Do I continue? Yes or no? Good. Okay. Read through the code below very carefully. What will happen when you click run? So the first thing we need to do is we need to check. Hey, what's happening now? Come on. There we go. We need to check this to see what we're working with. We need to check the code, and we need to see the different scenarios that they're giving us, right? Just to put this in here, because now you guys are going to, okay, I see there's an answer already, so I'm not going to. Okay, A, the bird will end up one step short of the pig. B, the bird will make it to the pig. C, the bird will run into the TNT. D, I don't know. Now, for those of you that are new to my lessons, D is never an option. We are never allowed to choose D. What we can do is read the code and figure it out. So this is saying turn left and turn left. So now we're going to face there and face there. Then we move forward. Then we turn left again. Then we move forward 3 times. So most of you are saying B, so let's check. Great. So the main thing that you need to understand is what we are learning at this stage is sequencing. And what sequencing is knowing that code needs to happen in a certain order. I just want to show you again. So that's why I prefer, let's do it on the next level. That's going to be easier for me to explain. So what I prefer for you to do is, instead of thinking in terms of I'm putting the move forward under the when run, and I'm putting this under this, and now I decided I want the turn right to be on top of the turn left. I would like you to think in terms of the move forward comes after the when run. And then after the move forward, we are going to repeat something. And after that, we're going to do this. Okay. So it is a matter of before and after. The reason I want you to think that way, and that is why we did this entire lesson too, is because we need to really clearly understand sequencing. We saw in that dance party lesson that we had, if you put a block in the wrong place in the sequence, even though to our naked eyes in the play area, it looks like some 5 things are happening at the same time, it doesn't. The computer still runs the code sequentially. First things happen first, last things happen last. Okay. So this is very, very, very vitally important. If you don't understand that now, you're never going to get it, right? So remind me before we click on run that I show you the line and text-based coding for this problem. Okay, so now we have, let's see, we have 6 minutes. So let's see what's the best way for us to get to this pig. So here we can go down there, come down here, go here, or we can come down here, come here, go there, go there. The workspace is not limited by how many blocks we can use. So instead of us trying to push this in now, What I am going to do is I'm going to go back to a puzzle to show you line and text-based coding. And then this puzzle becomes your homework. So go and try and figure it out. Try to see if you can reach the pig in the fewest amount of blocks. Okay? The fewest amount of blocks. Then tomorrow when we come back and we visit this lesson, I want you to tell me in the chat, I did it in 5 blocks. I did it in 9 blocks. And then I want to look at a few solutions, different solutions, okay? Because there can be different pathways to follow here, and they are going to use the same amount of blocks. But I think I might see one that's going to be very short. But let's do that together tomorrow. You just need to go and figure it out later on. So keep that link open now. Just to show you here, this is the block coding, and this is the line and text coding that I spoke about. Now, what's important for you to understand is why I said you can send the results to my email if you want to. Yes, I would actually like that. It just helps me to prepare better for the lesson. So if you can do that, that would be awesome. So this is why I say before and after. If you typed this turn right here next to the move forward and not under it, it would still work. Okay, because it's the line and text-based coding. So it's bad practice for coders to do that because it makes it very difficult to read, but it will still work as long as this is after that. Even if it's in the same line, it will still work. Okay, so that's why I want you to focus when we're doing sequencing on thinking in before and after and not just on top and underneath. Right, let me jump back to that screen so that you guys have at least a minute or two to take my email down for those of you that would be willing to share it with me. If you're on a device, you can screenshot it or screen capture it. If you are using a notepad, you can write it down. The link that you have there, just keep your Google browser open or your Safari browser or whatever browser you're using, keep it open, and then you will have access to that puzzle. And then tomorrow, no, I'm lying, it's Friday. So Monday's lesson, we are going to start debugging with Scrat. Now, again, as I've explained, you can leave all the bug killing equipment like fly swatters in the cupboard. You don't need to use them to debug code. Debugging code just means that we're fixing problems. We're not actually going to go hunting for real life bugs such as flies and spiders and so on, right? So I hope that lesson was fun and that you guys learned something new. Thank you to the STEM Digital School. You can follow us on these social media handles. Use these hashtags when you post about us on social. And please invite your friends to come and join us. We are still at the very beginning of all of what we will be doing. So that would be awesome if we can have a few more people in here. For those viewing the live stream as well, the invitation is open. Yeah, enjoy your weekend as well, Tanisha. The invitation is open. You can go to the Africa Teen Geeks website and find all the information that you need. All right, cheers, guys.